Very simple, very easy game.
All right, so I'm going to get started on the Nearpod. I think one more person might be logging in still, but that's okay. The code and everything is on the sidebar. And if at any point you're confused by something or you can't hear me or you have a question, just chat me in the box, or you can use that raise your hand feature on top of the screen there, okay? So this is 8th grade English. I'm Miss Giordano. Again, you can call me Miss G, whatever works for you guys. I don't have a preference at all. And then I think this will probably look familiar from some of your other classes, but this is going to be our little Bitmoji classroom that you can have the ability to access throughout the year throughout remote learning. So like some of the other teachers who I'm sure you've seen at this point, everything in the classroom does have a link to it at this point. So for instance, right now we're using Nearpod, so you don't need to click on it. But if you were to click on this little computer screen, you could take yourself right to Nearpod. Why don't you go ahead and click on that little checklist on the bulletin board? It has the 3 checks underneath Padlet. That sheet is going to take you to what is going to be our weekly content and assignment checklist. So I think Mr. Van Zandt, some of the other teachers are using this feature as well. But by accessing this page, you're going to be able to see what we're doing in class today, and then you're going to have to see. So for instance, in class, we're doing the introduction, we're doing virtual classroom, we're going to do a little icebreaker, and then you're going to be responsible for obviously going through this Nearpod and doing the icebreaker in the class. So it's just for you to know what you're going to be responsible for and what's going on in class each day. So if you do miss a day or you feel confused, or you feel like you got lost that day, you can go back and know exactly what we covered and what we did. When you scroll down on the checklist too, there's going to be a spot where I'll put all the Nearpod codes for that week. So if you need to access them again, and there'll be a place for you to figure out what your homework is this week. Just because there's so much stuff right there. So this is going to be posted at the top of Classroom or at the top of our Microsoft Teams page. So it's not just it's going to be on the Nearpod. It's on Microsoft Teams. You can access this link right at the top of the page. Every week I'll post a new one with all the links you're going to need for that week. Does that make sense? All right, so then moving on to the next slide. We just did this, but here's a quick refresher if some of you are still feeling confused. Setting up your learning space. So in order to have split screens, you need to use the little Windows key and a left or right arrow at the bottom of the screen to split your screens. So you can see a video of me teaching on one side and sometimes your peers, and you can also see what's going on the other screen. So in this case, you can see that you can also do it just by using the minimize tab at the top of each page. And what myself and some of the other teachers will do at the end of today is we're going to make a little video tutorial on how to do this if you're still feeling confused. Again, I know everything's kind of crazy and you're probably feeling overwhelmed and like you don't know how to do everything yet, and that's fine because we're all new to this too, and we're just going to do the best we can and we'll continue to learn. So if you're feeling very confused or you don't know what to do at any point, please just unmute yourself and ask me, or type a question in the chat box there. All right. So quickly, I just want you guys to answer this question on your Nearpod. One word to describe how you're feeling about remote learning. Be completely honest. As long as it's appropriate, it's okay if you're feeling stressed or you're feeling confused. Just let me know how you're feeling at this moment. Oops. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Decent, don't mind it, anxious. Johnny, I'm with you. I feel like today probably does feel a little bit boring at this point, just because it's a lot of us talking at you guys with our rules and what class will look like. My hope is that by the end of the week and into next week, it'll start to be a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun, but I'm sure it's hard to stare at a computer screen all day. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by it all too. Tell Catherine I said hi, Nicholas. I miss her. Don't mind it, anxious. Trust me, I didn't sleep much last night. I was anxious. I was going to have a lot of tech errors today. So we're all in this one together, but I hope that we'll be back in the building soon and we'll make the best of it while we can. Let's keep going. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit about myself because obviously I don't know you too well and we're not in the building together, so it's a little harder to get to know each other, but I wanted to spend the first few days at least, learning more about you and vice versa. So here's a picture of me and my dog, who I'm obsessed with. His name is Luca. And this is my second year teaching at Van Sickle. And I really have been looking forward to meeting you all. I feel like we've had a very long time away from school. And I'm sure it was relaxing at times, it has been very stressful. And I miss having that normal way of life and being able to go into class every day. So this is my second year here. I know Mr. Palazzi well, and he said many good things about you guys from last year, so I'm looking forward to working with you. It's been a crazy past few months, and that I've been spending my quarantine time playing with my dog, going on walks. I love to play basketball, love to read, binging a lot of Netflix shows, and spending time with my sisters, as annoying as they are. It was nice to kind of relax and be able to spend some family time. So I'd love to know what you guys have been up to during quarantine or something that's kept you busy during this time. So if you could go into the chat box on our meeting chat where I posted the link and maybe just let me know something you like to do or something you did during quarantine. I'd love to know like some recommendations for shows, what you watched, what you did, just in that meeting chat box. So I'll start too. So if you know where I'm looking right where I posted that link, just something you like to do or you did during the start of quarantine and back in March. Seems like forever ago. Do you guys know where I'm looking? So what's one thing you did to stay busy? Go back. Do you see that chat box where we were at the start, back on Teams? You don't have to share anything crazy, but maybe one thing you did or one thing you watched. Just some recommendations. We tired today?
No, miss, I'm still here. I'm just shy.
You're shy? Did you watch any good shows during the summer when you had to be stuck inside for quarantine?
I watched a lot of shows. One of them was Vampire Diaries.
Oh my gosh, I started Vampire Diaries too. How far did you get?
I finished it actually because I started it in the beginning of June.
Oh my gosh. I have to keep going. I took a break, but I was really enjoying it. Did you like it all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to talk more about that. I have to finish it still. I'm only on season, I think, 3, but I've heard good things. I've heard a few spoilers. What else? Boys, what did you do? What sports do we want to play? Of course you played sports over the summer, video games, right?
No sports.
No sports?
Anime.
No.
Anime?
Yeah.
What anime?
Darling in the Franxx, Naruto, another one. What's another one? Oh, what is that one called? Oh my God.
To get into anime. What'd you say? Sorry.
No, I was confusing which one I was watching. Because I have like a big list of a lot.
Yeah. I'm trying to start a list too. My sister, both my sisters just were watching Avatar. I know that one's more popular than some of the others, but I wanted to watch it. I just haven't had the chance yet. You guys will have to let me know some.
Bunny Girl Senpai, Yuri on Ice. There's Maid Sama. There's a lot of them.
There definitely is. I've been getting recommendations all day when I ask that question, so I'll have to add them to my list there. But we can chat more about that stuff later too. It's nice to know what has been keeping you guys busy. All right, so now I'm just going to go through, I'm back on Nearpod now. So if you want to make sure your screen is still up on that side. I'm looking at our online learning norms, which I'm sure you've heard in quite a few of your classes today, but I just want to reiterate them again because it's something we're going to stick to as a team. Attendance is mandatory. So just like if we were in school, you are expected to be showing up to all your classes. We're going to be taking attendance in all of your classes, and we're expecting that engagement in all of them too. So just like we were doing, it's nice to hear from you guys, especially as I'm still getting to know you and get familiar with your names and what you like. Similar to what we're doing now, there'll be times when I'm going to ask you all to be muted so that I can get my information across, and that way when it's your turn to speak, I can hear you guys, one-on-one, and it doesn't get too crazy with all that background noise. So unless told otherwise, stay muted, and there'll be times at the end of class where we'll go off and we'll kind of do group discussions. Cameras, for the most part, should remain on. Just for now, I only asked you to turn your camera off because I'm going to record this video so then I can post it later in the day for others to view it. So for the most part, cameras we're going to ask that you keep them on just so we can see that you are in class and you are engaged in what we're doing. The chat box we'll use when prompted. You guys have been great so far in terms of just listening and doing what you need to do. So the chat box, just when you need to get your questions asked or when I ask you to respond to something, try to stay away from just chatting back and forth in there. I also not going to do this today, but in the future, I am going to just call on people to kind of participate. The nice thing is we have a small class, so it will, learn to get to know each other, and we'll have fun together despite kind of the stress of being online right now. And then I'm also sure that you saw this feature from some of your other teachers today, but there is a raise your hand button right on your screen. So when you hover over it, you should be able to raise your hand. And that way I can see that maybe, for instance, John has a question or Carlos has a question, and I can call on them and they can unmute themselves. So it's just a way to make sure we have some protocols and learning norms to get familiar with, just because it is crazy when there's a lot of noise happening at once. Any questions on that? All righty. And again, I hope I'm not boring you too much because I'm sure you've heard this stuff in most of your classes today. But just because it's the first day, this is the same sort of stuff as if we were in the school classroom. I'm just really expecting people to be kind and be respectful, have some patience with each other. I think we're all going to struggle with technology, myself included. So as long as we're helpful and caring towards each other and we're respectful, I think we'll be able to make the best of it. I always keep saying, don't worry about making mistakes or being confused on something. If you have a question or you don't know what's going on, I'm here to help you. So don't be afraid to ask or be afraid to be wrong on something. We can work through it together. And now I'm just going to ask you guys to one or two things that we just went over that's expected of you in our online classroom. If you can go ahead and post to this little Nearpod board just so we can kind of reiterate what's expected. So one or two things that I'm looking for when you're online. What should you do or what shouldn't you do? And if you post right on there, I'll check it before it goes up. You guys are quiet today. There we go. Paying attention, be respectful, love it. It's a nice, easy question. So something you should or shouldn't do. I'm sure you've been hearing this all day. Keep your camera on, good. Perfect. These look great. All right, let's move forward so we can actually go back on and take our cameras on and chat a little bit. But I'm not sure if you've used this today in any of your other classes, and I don't want to overwhelm you with introducing too many things at once, but this is another site we're going to be using throughout the next few weeks, and I'll be sure to introduce it again to you and go through it some more, but it's called Padlet, and I'm going to share my screen in a minute and I can show you exactly what it looks like. But basically what it is it's a big bulletin board where I'm going to start a discussion at the top of the page, and then you're able to make a post underneath it. So today we're going to use it for a little icebreaker, just a quick game to get to know each other. And I'll share the link with you in just a minute. But the game we're going to play, I don't know if you guys probably have heard of it or probably have maybe even played it before, is Two Truths and a Lie. So we're going to use Padlet for this. And again, I'll show you that on my screen in just a minute. I'm going to ask you to post 2 true statements about yourself and 1 thing that's a lie. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy or anything you don't want to share. It can really just be something small that you take and like twist around. So for instance, if you have 2 cats, you could say, I have 1 cat, and that could be your lie. You can make it as crazy or as silly as you want it to be. And then what we'll do is we'll take turns, guessing and commenting on each other's posts. So mine is over here on the side on Nearpod, if you still see it. My first one, or my 2 truths and a lie. So my sister is a D1 volleyball player. My favorite food is pizza, and I am terrified of snakes. Does someone want to guess which one's my lie? You can either chat it to me or you can unmute yourselves if you want. Which one do you think? Yeah, which one
you don't like pizza.
What did you think the lie is?
That you don't like pizza.
That my favorite.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one. I was gonna say that one.
Say that too.
Were you?
Yeah, you don't like pizza.
You guys are the only group that's gotten that so far. You're right. I don't like pizza. It's my least favorite.
It's
food.
obvious. Why would you put the other ones like terrified of snakes? I ain't scared of no snake. I'm just playing. I am
Everyone
actually.
has said that they don't think my sister plays D1 volleyball. You guys have been the only group so far to guess it. I'm impressed. It's
You look like
really
a
my
volleyball.
least favorite food. Because why? Have you ever met anyone who doesn't like pizza? I feel like that's a very rare thing.
How do you
No,
not?
it's okay. I mean, my
I don't
dog don't
know.
like
I
lettuce, so.
Fair enough. I haven't liked pizza since I was a kid. I started eating it a little bit more because I was like, oh, whatever, it's an easy thing to get and eat, but I'm not a fan. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys quickly on how to use Padlet. I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see. So if you want to, you don't have to have Nearpod up for the time being, but I'm going to share my screen. Do you guys see my screen now where it says Mr.
Yeah.
Velez's Padlet? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what Padlet looks like. And again, don't feel like you need to know exactly how to use it at the moment. We're gonna be working with it and I'll show you guys kind of the ins and outs in the next few days. But for now, I'm gonna send you the link. And then what you can do is right underneath my 2 truths and a lie is you can start your own by pressing add to this column. So the only thing I'm going to ask you to do is just put your name. My name automatically appears up at the top because I'm the owner of the site, but you guys will all be anonymous. So if you could just post your name first and then get started on your 2 truths and a lie. And then what we can do is we can comment on each other's or we can kind of go around and if people want to share, we can do it that way. Okay. So let me send you the link. I'll send it through Teams again. So I just sent you to the link to the Padlet. So once you get it, you can log on. And again, don't feel like you need to share anything you don't want to share. It can just be silly things. You guys get my link?
Yeah.
Perfect. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop filming now anyway. So if you want to go back on to have your camera